The Voice at the Table training is familiarising people with acquired brain injury and people with intellectual disabilities. It's familiarising them with the processes around sitting in boards and in meetings for committees, for companies. Yeah.
I've been involved with Voice at the Table for about 7 months, and my role's mostly been facilitating the workshops with people with an ABI and an ID. And for myself, I've learnt a hell of a lot, and I think one of the first things I learnt is how little I knew about the lived experience of people with a disability. You can have assumptions that you do know things, but it's not until you build genuine connection with people and you sit back and listen in a real way that you understand that people with a disability need to be involved in all decision making, because us able-bodieds just don't know.
Because we've been a silent population for so long, and for all this time, decisions and policies have been made that affect us without our input, and that's dehumanising. And so the Voice at the Table project and program is offering us a modicum of humanity. Is that too much to say? Yeah, but obviously that's what it is, and I feel valued. I feel like my input is something of worth, and that's important. It's made a difference to me because I feel like I finally feel like I'm being listened to and heard. And after nearly 20 years of being sidelined, this is a celebration. This is cause for celebration.
Meetings can go terribly wrong, and that meetings can be a place where people with a disability feel incredibly disempowered. It really highlights the fact that there is a power imbalance in that space. So Voice at the Table has kind of allows us to discuss that and allows people to claim their power back. And the way that it does that is these inclusive processes that have been developed and co-developed. For me, it's been really incredible to watch people be heard for the first time. One of the principles that are embedded in the training is to make sure that we create a space in the classroom, in the training room, where people feel heard. So everyone always gets a voice to be heard and to be connected. And for me as a facilitator, seeing people, their confidence grow, it's incredible. And to see the shift from people from being shy and not used to or given permission to speak to then have a voice, it's the best job I've ever had.
They need to know our reality. They need to know what we've been struggling with for so long. As Amy says, it's up until this point, it's just been conjecture. Up until this point, they've just been imagining what our realities are. Mm. And so for us to stand in front of them and to speak our truth is vital, and it's so important.
Voice at the Table is essential and important because the main thing that it does is it gives room for people to speak their lived experience. It challenges that disconnect between worker or service provider or government agency with the people who they claim to be helping. And it flips that idea of charity and it flips that idea of pity and flips it and says, okay, what you have to say is valued. What you have to say can help us to improve the way that we can support each other. It's not just about the guys up here helping people with a disability. But one thing that Voice at the Table also does, it addresses the fact that this is a big change and that service providers, councils, governments, whoever, they're not going to do this well because they haven't done it well before. Some might be. And so from a self-advocacy perspective, there needs to be grace on both sides, that we need to actually work together. So it's not about building up self-advocates to go in or gun blazing and say, these are my demands. It's about making sure that people can hear each other better.
It's very important to have people with disabilities, people with intellectual disabilities, people with acquired brain injuries present in board and committee meetings, because we inform their process. We allow them the voice of experience, not the voice of conjecture, as I said before. Not the voice of conjecture, not the voice of some fantasy, but the voice of reality and the voice of experience.